Alright, now I'm gonna start off by saying that this movie, this one right here, is literally my childhood. So if I sound a bit biased about it, it's because I am. Don't at me. So recently, me and my girlfriend laid down and watched Ready Player One. And it was a pretty enjoyable movie. Now, I'm not gonna say it was a good movie, because it wasn't. Don't at me.
I do know you, Artie. I'm in love with you.
Alright, but it was still a pretty fun movie to watch. I still enjoyed watching it. But I'm gonna be perfectly honest with y'all. The only real reason I wanted to see this movie was because the Iron Giant was in it. That's literally it. I did not care for the characters at all. I did not care about the romantic subplot between Wade and... fuck, I forgot her name. We'll call her Birthmark Girl, alright? I did not care about Birthmark Girl at all. I wasn't even sad when Wade's parents died, because I honestly forgot they were in the movie. I just wanted to see the Iron Giant kick some ass. And to be fair, that's exactly what he did. However, I was still a bit let down, because I remember hearing that the director said that the Iron Giant was going to play an important role in the movie. And I kind of wanted that role to be that of a wise sage. I wanted the Iron Giant to be the sort of wise sage who gave Wade advice throughout the movie, and when it came time, he helped him in the final fight. But no, he honestly just shows up in the climax, and it's not even the giant himself. It's just one of Wade's friends piloting the giant, which kind of bums me out. But it was still a fun movie to watch. I still enjoyed watching it, and it's definitely just one of those movies where you just sit down to have a good time. Now, after seeing this movie, however, it actually made me want to go back and rewatch The Iron Giant to see if it was as good as I remember it to be. And so that's exactly what I did. Now, I'm not one to go back and watch shows and movies I loved as a child, because I know if I do, I'll realize how bad they actually were.
Briefs!
Boxers.
Briefs!
Boxers.
Briefs!
Boxers.
So did this movie, this one right here, this one that you're watching, you're seeing right here, did it turn out to be a piece of shit going back and rewatching it? No, people, this movie is still fucking amazing. And I honestly hate that more people have not seen this movie. Now, I'm not gonna spoil this movie that much, because the reason I'm making this video is just to try to convince even one of you to just go and watch it, so you can appreciate how good of a movie it actually is. Instead, I'm just going to talk about mostly themes and elements from the movie, and why it's so great, and that you have to watch it. Obviously, you don't have to if you don't want to. Also, if you actually want me to do a full spoiler review, tell me in the comments below. So without further ado, let's get started. First of all, one thing I have to mention, this movie is directed by Brad frickin' Bird. And if you don't know who that is, well, he's nobody really, He just directed movies like Both the Incredibles, Ratatouille, Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol, and Tomorrowland. So, yeah, nothing too major, But in all seriousness, if there's one thing that Brad Bird knows how to do, is tell a story. And to be honest, I honestly consider this movie to be one of his best works. I am not even joking when I say this. I honestly think this highly of this movie. Second of all, the art style of this movie and the music are just perfect. Now, these two things separately are really good by themselves. The art style definitely has a unique look to it, having a nice painted world look to it that, while it may seem simple at first, does an amazing job of both sucking you into a new world and helping the giant stand out, as he is meant to be otherworldly, and I feel like the art style does a good job of capturing that. And the music just makes you feel happy, or even helps you unhinge your jaw when you see scenes like this. I mean, come on, that's pretty badass. But it's when you put both of these elements together that you truly feel like you're in a whole new world. One with wonder and fear and childlike glee even. I mean, just look at this and tell me it doesn't look awe-inspiring.
Pick me up, okay?
I especially enjoyed rewatching this movie because as more and more animation studios seem to be switching to 3D animation, this movie really offers a nice breath of fresh air with its 2D style, which is actually kind of ironic to say because the Iron Giant is actually completely 3D animated. Also, he's voiced by Vin Diesel. I feel like I need to mention that. I feel like more people will watch it if I mention that. Now, one of my favorite things about this movie is just how the story is told. Brad Bird definitely knows how to tell a story and write believable characters because he knows to keep the focus of the story on the actual characters and he doesn't waste time. He never lets the overall plot distract from the people of the movie, which is what all movies should do. Within the first 15 minutes of the movie, we are shown all the major characters, their personalities, and their goals, which allows us to connect to those characters for the rest of the movie. Brad Bird also knows when to follow and to actually break the golden rule of storytelling, which is, of course, show, don't tell. When we are first introduced to Hogarth, he meets with his mom explaining how he got a new pet, literally a squirrel he picked up off the streets, and he asks her if he can keep it. The following line happens.
Hogarth, we've got to rent a room this year if we're going to make ends meet, and no one wants to live in a place with shredded upholstery.
You'll never know he's there. I'll keep him in a cage.
Until you feel sorry for him and set him free in the house. Do you remember the raccoon, Hogarth? Ugh, I remember the raccoon.
While the mother is explaining what Hogarth likes to do whenever he gets these animals, this also shows us that Hogarth is very caring towards wild animals, even if they look menacing. This makes the future relationship between him and the giant feel more natural, as we know Hogarth loves all living things and can't stand seeing them in pain, thus causing him to help the giant in his moment of need. But my absolute favorite thing about this movie is its theme and tone. This movie is probably one of the only films I've ever seen that is actually willing to explain death and the human soul. And it's supposed to be a family-friendly movie. It's literally rated PG. Even if you're not Christian or particularly religious, you can still appreciate what this film has to say. Now, I'm going to spoil one scene from the movie, alright? I'm going to spoil one scene. But it's nothing major, okay? It just honestly serves to prove my point. Alright, it's nothing major, I promise. So there's a scene where the giant is heartbroken because he had just experienced death for the first time in the form of a deer. He's wondering if the same thing will happen to Hogarth and eventually to himself. But Hogarth explains to him that death is simply a part of life and that it's not a bad thing. Hogarth explains that even though the giant is metal, he still thinks and feels, and because of that, he has a soul. And souls live on forever.
Things die. It's part of life.
You die.
Someday.
I die.
You have feelings and you think about things. That means you have a soul. And souls don't die. Mom says it's something inside of all good things and that it goes on forever and ever.
Souls don't die.
This movie is so fucking good, my little heart can't take it. This movie also happily takes up a theme of libertarianism. No, not the political kind of libertarianism. I'm talking about the philosophical kind. If you don't know what that means, basically it's the belief that your past actions don't define you, and that you are who you are because you choose to be that way. Not your past actions or the actions of other people. And this movie shows that extraordinarily well. The people of the movie believe that the giant is just to be a monster whose only purpose is to kill and destroy. They run in fear at the very sight of him, which, you know, is honestly kind of understandable, because who wouldn't run from this thing, to be honest? But because of this, the giant starts to believe that that is all he is, a giant gun meant to destroy. But Hogarth teaches the giant that he can be whatever he chooses to be. And so, instead of following his original programming, which was simply to search and destroy, the giant chooses to be something else, something greater. He chooses to be Superman and save people. I can honestly talk about this movie all day and why it's so great, but I think I've said enough. The reason I chose this to be my first major video is because when the Iron Giant first came out in theaters, it actually tanked at the box office. Warner Brothers didn't have much faith in this movie whatsoever and didn't market it well in theaters, causing it to underperform and kind of be forgotten, honestly, only now having a cult following. So I hope after seeing this video, you'll at least give this movie a chance and hopefully realize what a masterpiece it is. I know masterpiece is kind of overstating it, but again, my biased review, don't at me. This movie helped define my childhood, and it taught me what it really means to be alive. And I hope it can teach you something like that as well. Also, this movie is on Netflix, so you kind of have no excuse not to watch it. But anyway, I hope you all enjoyed this video. Again, let me know if you want a spoiler-filled review in the future, and what I should do for my next film-related video. I hope you all have a wonderful day. I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.